What's up guys, Qehzy here bringing you guys another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to create an animated 2D overlay in After Effects. So you guys may have seen these on my videos in like the past week or so. I think I made this maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, something like that. So here, I'll give you a little preview if you haven't seen it. So basically like drops down, then there's kind of like a circular explosion that pops out with my name and all my social media links and like a little message here. It has my logo, and then it just kind of goes away. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is go to File, New Project, and I'm going to not save that. And we want to go to Composition, New Composition. So you can call this composition whatever you want, really. I'm just going to call this first half because we're going to be making it coming in, and then we're going to be duplicating this composition and reversing it so it goes out. So we're going to be doing that, and then the width and height will depend on the the ratio for your videos. So this is obviously 1080p. Sorry if you heard that. I just got a text. Gosh dang it. Hold on. Alright, sorry about that. So obviously I'm going to go 1080p, so 1920 by 1080. If you're using 720, it's like 1280 by 720, and you guys get that. The frame rate I used was 30 frames, so this kind of goes 29.97 for whatever reason. You can do whatever. And then the duration is 15 seconds, and that's just kind of like the max for me. I didn't want it to be any longer. You can make yours longer or shorter. And then you want to select a background color, which I guess really doesn't matter, but you can go ahead and do that if you want, and then click OK. And now we have our little document set up. So the first thing we want to do is create the drop down boxes. So to do that, we're going to create a new layer. So layer, new, solid. And sorry, all these pop-up windows are going to show up on the other monitor first, so that might get a little annoying. So you get to pick your color now. This is when it's important to pick the color. Before it didn't really matter. But I'm going to go with this blue, which is kind of the bluish purple that makes up my brain sort of logo. And I'm going to call this box 1. And size doesn't matter. We're just going to resize it anyway. So do that. And let's bring it down to about a size we want. So that's pretty good. Let's move it to the top and get a general idea of where this is going to be. So that's pretty good. I like that. If you want, you can press spacebar and drag up using the mouse, so you can move up in the screen and make sure that covers like that. There we go. That works. And we're just going to go out a few seconds, and we're going to go onto the layer, which is box 1 right here. Make sure it's selected. Press P on the keyboard, that'll bring up position, and click the little stopwatch, that'll add a keyframe, and then we want to go back to 0 and click and hold shift and drag it up off the screen, and that'll automatically create a keyframe. And if we press the spacebar here, you can see it just slowly comes down. Probably going to make that speed up a little more, so maybe 1 second. Something like that. That works. Alright, now we want to select both these keyframes we just created and press F9 on the keyboard. Then you want to click on the graph editor, which is right here to the right. And this little graph will come up, and you want to select this right point, click the dot and drag it in. And the F9 thing created this into an easy ease. And then this will just make it ease in at like a more I guess like a better looking way. So it kind of comes quick and then slows down as it gets into position. You can see. Maybe we'll extend this a little longer actually. Something like that. There we go. That's the look we want. Next thing we're going to do, or I'm going to do, is add my logo. So let me go ahead and grab that real quick. And I'm just going to drag it over here to the side for the project, and I'm going to drag it down to a layer. Oh, come on. And I'm going to bring it to the top, and I'm only adding it now so I can use the color selector to pick that color pink. So what I'm going to do is go to the box, And we're going to duplicate this layer, so Command C, Command V, and we're going to, oops, not what I wanted. We're going to right click, rename, and call it box 2. And then we want to go over here to effects and presets, give it a chance to load. And we want to search for fill. You can see there will be a category called generate. We want to add fill, drag it onto that box 2, and now we can select a color. We just want to press this eyedropper, and I'm going to go over to my logo and select the pink. And there we go. Click out of that. Now let's go to the layer, and I actually want the pink layer to be below the blue because the blue is going to be the main layer and has to be on top of the other ones. So we're going to drag box 2 down, and we're actually going to go to box 1. Actually, let's select both these layers, box 1 and box 2. Press P, and we'll select the keyframes in box 1 and just drag them out a little further so it's slightly delayed. So we get something like that. That works. Although we don't want just 2 layers, the original I had 3 and one of them was white. So again, we're going to duplicate box 2, and you can see that'll create box 3. And if we press P on the keyboard, we're going to just go ahead and do the same thing, select these keyframes and extend it out a little further. And again, we want to go to the effects. So let's add fill again. And actually, it will already have a fill added, so I guess I didn't need to do that. So let me just, I'm going to delete that second fill and select a color on the original, and that's just going to be a normal white. So now if we go to this and play it, you can see we just get a nice easy drop down like that. And then we can click these arrows to hide everything. And that is the main square part done. You can see that looks pretty good. And now let's move on to the next bit. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and work on the logo coming up, because that's kind of where everything's going to start from. We want the logo to pop up, and then everything kind of explodes from that point. So let's go up and get our logo in position. We can do a Command plus to zoom in and set this up. So we'll go almost all the way to the left side, give a little space, hold Shift and Alt to size it down. Maybe we'll go a little smaller. Actually, you don't have to hold Alt, but just Shift. And get into a position you like. That's pretty good. I'll keep it there. Again, we want to go to the logo layer and press P on the keyboard. And that's kind of time where this would come up. So this stuff comes down. We want a slight pause. So maybe till there. And then at 2 seconds, actually maybe a little further. This is around the point we want it to pop up. So let's click the stopwatch for the keyframe to come up. And then let's move back to about when it stops. So maybe right there. And then we're going to drag this logo down, holding Shift, till it's off the blue square part. So you can see it's into this checkered transparent area. So if we go through, it kind of goes like this, comes down, the bars stop, and then the logo will pop up. Obviously though, we don't want the logo to be visible when it's down here. So what we're going to do is create a new solid. And this is going to be a mask. Actually, I like to call all my masking layers a general, actually it's not any name. I just like to use dashes, so I know it's a masking layer. You can do whatever you want for your masking layer. That's just what I've been doing personally. And we want to line it up. Well, actually, let's decrease the size this way and just line it up with the original bar. So right there, it's lined up now. And what we want to do is go to the logo layer, and over here there'll be a spot that says parent. And if that this is not up here, I believe you have to go to toggle switches and modes. And if you're on a smaller monitor, the parent won't be up automatically, and you might have to do that. And actually, it's not parent, it's track mat. So you want to go to track mat. That's why you have to do it. Mine wasn't up. And you want to go to alpha mat, and you'll notice the logo will disappear. And basically what this does, if you guys are familiar with Photoshop, this is basically a clipping mask of sorts. So the only way this logo will appear is if it overlaps with this box masking layer, essentially. So you'll notice if we go ahead, it'll pop up from the bottom like so, which looks pretty cool. So if we play this out, boom, there we go. Obviously, that might be a little too short. We're just going to extend it to maybe like 2.5 seconds. And then we want to do our easy ease thing again. So we're going to select both those keyframes, F9, and then let's go ahead to our graph, select this point to the right, and just bring this over like that. Let's get out of the graph, and now let's play, see how this looks. Boom, looks pretty cool. I really like that. That looks pretty neat. Now let's go ahead and do like the circle explosions part. So it's going to be a similar thing using this mask. So we're going to be duplicating this at some point. Just remember that. And let's go zoom out. And we're going to go ahead and create a circle. So just go up here. The rectangle tool should be selected. But if you just click and hold, we want to get the ellipse tool. And now actually, yeah, I'll zoom in a bit here. And we want to go right in the middle of our logo, in this case the brain. And we're going to create a circle. And do I have to hold? Oh, whoops. Make sure you don't have a layer selected. So I had that masking layer selected. Make sure you don't have any layer selected. And actually, I'm going to make sure, wait, okay, stroke of 0, fill. We can pick the color. I'll go ahead and use that pink again. So let me get this eyedropper. And if it, actually, where's that pink bar? I'm gonna get this pink, there we go. Now let's move out. Alright. Now make sure your layer's not selected, and we're gonna go ahead and just create a circle. It doesn't matter what size it is right now. Just try to center it as best you can. And alright, you gotta hold Option Shift, and we'll make it fairly small for now, I guess. That works. And obviously this logo is going to be below the logo layer at some point, but for now we'll keep it above. And let's just get it to the point where we want it to start exploding. So if we play this, probably around 3 seconds we should have it. So let's again get in, instead of hitting P on the layer, we're going to select the layer and go down to transform. And this time we're going to be using the scale. So let's click scale and size it. Oops. No, come on, let me. Why is it moving it? Come on. I guess. Oh, I know. We want to go over here to this pan behind, or the anchor tool. Let's select that and let's zoom out here real quick. I believe I have to drag this point up. There we go. Because it'll scale according to this point. So we just want to center this guy. There we go. Now it should allow us to scale it down. Perfect. And let's go down to 0. And then let's go up to maybe like 5.5 seconds. That should work, I'd assume. And let's bump up the scale. And we'll just increase it all the way like that. Sweet. And again, you'll notice it takes up the whole screen, which we don't want. We would need that clipping mask. So let's go ahead and duplicate our mask layer, drag it to the top, go to our shape layer, go to the trick mat, set it to alpha, and it should stay in that bar, which it does. Now we can select both of those layers, the circle layer and the mask layer, and go below the logo. And let's zoom in here now. Actually, we can do it. That was not what I wanted to do. We can center it up so we can see everything. And let's play it through and see how this looks. Pretty good. That's a pretty good timing. I like that. Let's go back into that shape layer and go back to the scale. And again, we want to do our easy ease. So select both of those keyframes, F9, go to the graph, and let's tweak it a little bit. I don't think I'm going to tweak this one as much, just a little bit. And hopefully this will look all right. Sweet. Now, I actually think that's a little fast. Maybe we want it to be a little slower. So I go to about 6.5 seconds. Now let's play this. And by the way, this is going to be a lot of testing and trying things out. So the spacebar is the preview if you haven't caught on to that already. And you notice this creates the bar completely pink because the circle is pink. Now we're just going to be adding a white one and then a blue one. So when the blue one goes out, it'll stop, if you know what I mean. But actually, let's rename the circle layer to circle 1. And then let's select the circle 1 and its masking layer. Command C, Command V to duplicate it. And you notice they'll switch spots, so the mask is now below. We just want to bring that mask on top again. And let's go to the circle layer, or circle 2, and we're going to add a fill. And we're going to do white. And we're going to go into the transform, go to the scale, and bring it over a little bit. Now, if we play this, you can see there's that slight delay between them, which is what we want. And we want to do this again, but then make the layer, instead of white, make it blue. So duplicate, let's switch these. Let's go to the effects on circle 3 now, and let's get the blue. So I'm just going to go back a little further so I can just select that. Perfect. Let's go into it, transform, select these guys, hold shift and move them down a little bit. And let's see if this looks alright. That works, I like that. Explosion and everything looks pretty nice. Now the next thing we want to do is have text pop out from behind the logo. And so let's go to the text tool. Actually, let's make sure we don't have a layer selected. Go to the text tool. Let's zoom in here a little bit. And let's just click right next to the logo. And I'm going to type all caps, that's Qehzy. Now the font I'm using and what I did use is RNS Serial. I used white, so I'm going to just go ahead and select that. Size 22 works. That's a fairly good size. And let's kind of make this center aligned. That works. And now let's go into the layer. Make sure you have it selected. Press P on the keyboard. And let's figure out where we're going to add this. So it kind of pops out when the explosion happens. So we'll do it like as the blue shows up. So like right there is when we want it to fully appear. So let's press the stopwatch in the position. And let's go back. We'll go back to maybe like here. And let's click, hold shift, bring it over so it's completely to the left of the logo, like that. Excuse me. And again, we want to create another masking layer. So let's just make sure we don't have a layer selected, and this is probably an easier way of doing it. Just get the rectangle tool, make sure you don't have a layer selected, and just create a square here that ends right at the end of the logo, like that. And then let's rename it to a bunch of dashes. Of course, you can name it whatever you want. And then let's select the trick mat on the text to alpha. And actually, I wanted that reversed. I did that the wrong way. So let me do one of these. There we go. Now that should work. So let's go ahead and play it real quick. Sweet. I actually might want that delayed a little bit just because it kind of interferes with the white. So actually, let's see. When does it pop out? It literally pops out with the white. So let's just drag these a little further back. Is there any overlapping? No, that should be good. So that should be good timing. Again, let's go ahead and make sure you have those selected. F9. Go to the graph and edit it just a little bit. There we go. And another thing you can do with the text, I didn't do this with the other stuff. You could do it with the boxes when they drop down, but that's add a little bit of motion blur. So to do that, you want to go over here, and this button enables motion blur for layers that have it selected. So select that, go down here to toggles and switches. And actually, do you need this? Believe you do, yes. Right here you can see the button that matches the button we just enabled. It's like these circles that kind of overlap one another. And that's right here. You just want to go in line with that checkbox and click it. And that will enable motion blur. So if we go and play this now, you can see the motion blur that was on this text, which looks really sweet. There you go, right there. Looks really nice. I really love that. But yeah, there you go. Now let's move on to the social media links. So what I did for that was use one of these circles. Let me just zoom out real quick. I used one of the circles exploding as the mask, so it appeared when that particular one went by it. So in this case, I'm going to be using the white mask, or the white circle as the mask. So let's get our social media links in first of all. So you're going to have to pre-get these, I guess. You can see I have a folder here with the ones I use, these 5. You can also use a little program that I did a top 5 Photoshop plugins, and this one is used for Photoshop, but you can use it for other Adobe products if it wants to load real quick. Alright, you can use this program here, which is called Flat Icon. I did a top 5 tutorial or plugins for Photoshop. This was one of them, but you can also use it in other Adobe Adobe programs. So you can see this is the Facebook icon I used, or I didn't use it, but I used the equivalent for the other ones. So like Twitter, I use this square one. And obviously they don't have things like selfie, so if I type that in you can see nothing comes up. And what is the other one? Like Behance, I think. Actually no, Snapchat. They don't have any. Oh, they just added Snapchat ones, that's cool. But I had to create my own, so I just mimicked those in Photoshop and created them. But if you want to use one of those, you can. But let's go ahead and just drag these guys in. I'm only going to do 3 just to save time. So, whoops, let me go to my project files and drag them over. There we go. Now we can go ahead and add them. Sweet. Hopefully they all should be the same size. And let's actually extend a little further. And let's size them down to where we want. We can zoom in a little bit now. So that's a little too big. Let's decrease the size like that. There we go. And what I'm going to do is select, since I'm only using 3, this will be a little easier, but I'm going to just bring the Behance one over, get another one, bring it over to the other side, select all 3, and I'm going to go over here to the tab that says Align, and let's do, and you just want to select vertical center distribution. I get so confused with the Align, but I just usually click them until they line up evenly, so you can see this is evenly spaced. But now we just want to add text next to them, so let's go to the text tool, and we're just going to do exactly what we did before. So just click next to it, and then just do /Qehzy. Actually, is there no slash in this font? I guess not. I'll just do Qehzy. And let me bring it down. And I'll just copy that layer. Bring it over. There we go. Now we're not going to get to the text right away, so we can just go ahead and hide them for now. What we're going to be worried about is the logos right now. So let's go to the circle we're going to use, which is that white one. And I believe we selected it, right? This is it. No, it's this one. So let's copy and paste circle. Now it's 4. We'll bring it up. All right. And let's rename it to some dashes. I'm actually going to do underscores, just so I know this one's different. It's not a square. And let's add it on top of each one of these guys. And let's go back to our toggle switches and do a trick mat. Make sure you select all of these to no track, and then the logos to alpha. All right. So you can see when the white circle goes by, the logos will appear. Which is exactly what we want. You could do the blue one, which actually might have been a better idea. I think that would have looked a lot better if I did the blue, because the white just looks a little odd. But now let's go ahead to the text. We can make the text visible again. And you'll notice if we go through this, the text is just here. We haven't done anything to it. Well, let's go ahead and play around with it. So we're going to do another position thing. And let's go to when the white goes past. We'll just go until it's on the next one. So this one gets to the Selfie logo, and that's when we're going to have it come out. So let's click the stopwatch on position, and let's go back. Actually, that might be a little too quick. Let's have it all go by. That's probably the best bet. So maybe like right here. And then when it's at that one, that's when it can start coming out. Actually, something like that. I don't know. I'm probably going to play around with the spacing, but something like this, so it goes by and then the text is going to come out. So let's actually select it and move it past the logo. Actually, let's line it up with the left side of the logo, so you can see it's lined up with the left. And we want to add another mask, so make sure you click off all layers, get the rectangle tool, and we're going to line this up with our logo here, which is why I use squares, by the way, so they can just poke out real easily. And create that. There we go. This is where our logo is going to come in from. Drag that down so it's above that text layer. And again, we want to go to Trick Mat and make it an alpha. So you can see this just pokes through now. like so, which is what we want. And we want to add some easy, so let's select those keyframes, F9, go to the graph, select that point, drag it over. There we go, that should work. And if we want to, we could toggle and add some motion blur. Sweet, that's what we want, that's what we get. And actually, instead of copying this multiple times, we could just select these guys, delete them, and then go ahead and duplicate what we just did here, and then move it over. Now, the only thing we'd have to change is timing. Actually, did I just... Yeah, there we go. So, really all we have to change is the timing. But let's select these guys and bring them over and make sure that's lined up perfect. And instead of actually selecting the keyframes themselves, I'm just going to select the Qehzy 2 layer, which is the text for this guy. And I'm just going to click the whole layer and bring it over once holding shift. And hopefully that'll space it to an amount that's fairly good. So let's see how this looks. That might be a little too far, so I'm going to actually click once to zoom in, go over, click, shift, move over once, and let's see how that spacing works now. I'm going to zoom in once more, click, hold shift, and go left once, twice, and I actually think that's going to work the best. Alright guys, so I messed up with the keyframes on this guy. You can see if this plays, once it gets here, it's over here instead of being aligned right here, which is what we want. And this keyframe is completely pointless, so we're going to delete that guy, go over here, and make sure this guy's aligned holding shift with this logo right there. And we're just going to make sure the first keyframe in this is in line with the second keyframe of the first one. And that's going to be the spacing. So it's something like boom, boom, perfect. Now we just have to do that for the third guy. Let's flip-flop these layers, bring up the positioning. Select both the shape and the text. Click, hold shift, bring it over, line it up, there we go. And then let's select these keyframes and bring them over so they're aligned like so. And then we want to change it so this one is over to the right, or to the left of the logo right here. And perfect. Hopefully you guys got that down. That was a little confusing. But if we play this, perfect. We could have done that a little quicker, I guess, but that is not bad. That's pretty good. And let's zoom out here real quick and play the whole thing. Sweet. It's basically exactly what we want. You'll notice in the original one that I did, I had another text thing come up. That's just duplicating the same thing we did with that text another time later, but actually like dragging this text back so it goes away, and then creating a new one that comes out later. If you guys know what I mean. That's not too difficult. I'm not going to show you that, but I'm going to show you the second part now. So that's going to require creating, what is it, another composition. So let's go composition new. We'll call this one final, and this one is going to be about 15 seconds, and everything's the same. So let's go ahead and click OK. And what we're going to do is, if you go over here to your project, you'll see a composition that says first half, and that's what we just worked on. And we're just going to bring that down, and let's go ahead and play it real quick. You can see that's obviously what we just did. Cool. And let's actually find where it ends, because we want it to stay here for a little bit so you can see everything, and then at some point it just goes away. So let's play it here and figure out where we want it to kind of come back. Hold, hold, boom. This is where we want it to end. So let's go here to the end and just drag it in. That's where it's going to end. Let's duplicate this. Let's right click, time reverse layer. And actually, let's right click on that again. Enable time remapping. And let's see what happens with this real quick, actually. That actually should work out perfect. Let's see that again. See that whole thing together. Pretty good. Alright guys, yeah, so that's basically it. That's about all you have to do. Now, if there's some things you don't like, you can change them at this stage, because anything you do here will update onto these guys, and that'll make the changes accordingly. But one problem that I usually run into in After Effects is this being too slow, and I want it to be a little quicker. So we could go again and create another composition, and we'll call this real final, and we'll keep it at 15 seconds too. Now we can go ahead to that final one we created, drag that in, right click, right click, enable time remapping, and you can see these keyframes will come up, and you can just drag them closer. So I'll go to 11 seconds, and then if I go to this guy, which is the work area, I can bring that down to that keyframe, and then this guy, which is the actual render, and bring that down to the same spot. Now that'll make everything here, and that'll make this 11 seconds. So we made it 15 seconds. We can just easily cut that out, make it quicker with the time remapping, and then play this out here. So there we go. We can just simple way makes it quicker. If we were to want that, cool. I think the original would have been better personally. And then finally, when you want to render this out, there's one key thing you have to do. And say we want to use this particular sped up one as the final one. You want to make sure you're in that composition. Say if we wanted to use this one we wanted to be in this composition, but you want to be in the composition you want to render. Go to composition, add to render queue. Alright, you want to click the output module. Right now it says lossless, and you get these settings. I do QuickTime as the format. You can do whatever you want. You can see there's a bunch of different options. But the key thing you want to do is at video output, you want to go to channels, and if it says RGB, you want to change it to RGB plus alpha. If you don't have that plus alpha, it will render this transparent part a color, the original color you picked in the beginning, the one that I said that didn't matter. You want to make sure you have that selected, click OK. And also you want to have this transparency grid checked. You can see what happens if it's not, it fills it. So make sure that is highlighted blue. And if we go back to this render K, what the heck? You can then go to output 2 and select wherever you want it. And then when you're done, you can just click render. It'll render it out. If it's taking too long, you're gonna slow PC, you can hit caps lock, and that'll prevent it from showing what's like the actual thing as it's rendering. It'll just render it out. It'll be a little quicker. I'm just gonna go ahead and click stop because I don't really need that. But if at any point you're in here too, if you have caps lock selected, it will not preview what you have created. But yeah, guys, that is how to create the overlay, the animated overlay. Hopefully you enjoyed. This is my first After Effects tutorial. Sorry if it was a little weird. I'm just not too sure of things because I don't work in here a lot. But thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed. If this reaches 100 likes, I'll put this file in the description for you guys to download and use yourself. Follow me on Twitter at Qehzy for updates and art that I'm working on. Add my Snapchat Qehzy for any upcoming stuff that I'm going to be doing. And subscribe for more tutorials, guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace.